every summer I go into world history again. And it has been going on for a couple of summers now. Usually it's one eastern and one western. So usually the west is always the Roman Empire. I think that's absolutely fascinating for me. I don't know why. I do think about the Roman Empire quite a bit, and I think it's it's either the Roman Empire or the Greek Empire because a lot of the teachings, philosophy, great people that came out of it are still very prevalent today. On the east, it's usually China, but like last year, I went into Egypt history as well. China is huge, right? China has a long history, so you just go into like random little pockets of interesting parts of history. And last year and 2 years ago, I've been wanting to go into the history of the Middle East, really trying to understand the caliphates, understand the Islamic Revolution, understand the really how Islam came to be and how it got really popular. Take for example one of the largest voyages, Zheng He, which is a eunuch from one of these emperors. He had a fleet of like probably the largest fleet in history of maritime power, like boats and people, and they were going around Southeast Asia and Asia, south of Asia, and that guy is Muslim. So Muslims influence is really widespread, at least in the southern hemisphere. And however, it's I find it so complicated. But this year in 2026, we are truly living in interesting times. This is not a compliment. This is actually a Chinese insult. Living in interesting times. And, you know, I get quite confused about a lot of things that's going on. Like, okay, we have Lebanon bordering Israel, we have Iran quite far away. Why on earth is it that we can't execute the peace deal signed between Iran and US because somehow Israel is involved and then somehow Lebanon is part of it? And it's all very confusing to me. So, well, what do you do when you're confused? You pick up books. So, this summer, I have decided I'm going to begin with Iran. And if this is not even like Iran, this is just Iran, a modern history. And just slowly understanding, and maybe this as a way to get introduced to the Muslim as a religion, and then trying to dissect, poke holes, understand the situation that we are today. And it's also quite relevant because everything I learned today can be completely applied because everything you read on the news today has something got to do with Iran, Israel, Middle East, and it's not religion per se, but it religion is an entryway for me to get into Middle East. So I still have a lot of other books. Like I got this from the library, but all my other books are there are parts of it like general world history, and then there are parts of it that is caliphate related. So I do have some idea. Some ideas of this what's going on, and in general, the Sunni versus Shia Muslim, and then how they're different. Arab as an ethnicity, and then Persians, which is Iran, as another ethnicity, different culture. So similar but different, and a lot of these gaps of knowledge that I'm having as I'm reading it, it's slowly kind of piecing together. Not only that, I'm just watching a lot more commentary documentaries about what's going on, other than the news, right? A lot more experts or investigative journalists coming in to talk about what's going on. And it's fascinating to me to understand the same situation, right? Like the Islamic Revolution. If you hear different people talking about it, of course, they are different stakeholders, they have different agendas and incentives. The same issue has thousands of perspectives. And I keep coming back to this because it's for me right now, it's extremely hard to have a point of view because usually I can argue for both sides. And I can understand the stakeholders in place, the the incentives in place, what is at stake, and you can usually debate both sides, and then you end up being quite neutral because there are these perspectives at play. And going to history gives me a lot more context awareness and historical connections to what's happening today, why things are happening. And I feel both enlightened and conflicted. Enlightened because I'm more aware of why things are like that today, but more conflicted because, as much as I would love life to be black and white, east and west, top and bottom, very easy to dissect, reality is everything is gray in the middle, and it's getting much harder to have a point of view when you c- you can see what is at stake, and it's very hard to argue. That being said, as well, this these are all history, like historical context of why countries are like that today in the Middle East, or at least in Iran, Persia. The other thing is that right now, what's happening right now is actual, bombings and killing of people and genocide and terrorist groups and people fighting for what they believe in. And the word terrorist group is also very contentious because terrorists, the term terrorism comes from a reference point of view of who views the other entity as a terrorist group. And there's so many nuances to figuring out the truth per se. I don't think there's such a thing as the truth. You can only understand certain kind of context in the discussion of certain questions or topics. Because the truth is very varied, it's very open, it's very subjected to interpretation, conditional on the context you are talking about. So, yeah, the truth is a bit iffy and wavy. Okay, that being said, you know, I'm traveling, I am taking planes, I am enjoying the world, I am sitting in my home, I am in a very peaceful, stable environment wherever I go. It's a huge dissonance when you see actual footage of bombings, of war, of fighting, of people dying, of missile attacks, of military or army coming to destroy one's house, property, take, like, kill and murder people. It's such a weird dissonance. I know that this is happening in the same timeline, same landmass. Asia and Europe is one landmass. I live in this landmass. This same timeline, same landmass, same Earth, same climate change that we're dealing with. It's so, it's such a weird experience. It's almost like that is not real. There is such a huge dissonance, at least for me, living in a peaceful, developed world, that it does not feel real. It does not seem real. And I know that's quite a bad thing. It's not that I don't have empathy. Obviously, I do have empathy for whatever that's going on. And it's also, it feels so far away. I don't know what I could do about it. It feels so strange. It's so surreal. Like, what is, yeah, I don't know what I could do except pick up a book, learn more about the history, get more context about what's going on, and engage in very good faith discussions about what's going on. But beyond that, I don't know what one could do. It feels, it just feels really far away. I don't know if that will change as I'm going to read through the book. I mean, I'm only very early on. See my little bookmark that I just bought. So there's still a lot to go through. And this is just one of the many books that I hope I'll be reaching into. And this is just Iran, right? I think there's so many other cultures and other countries that I'm very interested in. Um, yeah. So just wanted to share this. This summer I'm going to go into Middle East. I hope I have some time for either the Egyptian, the Greek or Roman Empire again. But otherwise, I'm definitely going to dive deep into the Middle East, or Iran at least. I'm going to start with Iran. All right, bye.